New Henna Shampoo Color menutup uban dengan warna blue black yang menakjubkan hanya dalam 5 menit. New Henna Shampoo Color.
Wak, waktunya Gary. Gary snack bantal. Double coklatnya bikin ngemil lebih seru. Waktunya Gary.
Ya saya baru ngomong aja. Everyone, thank you so much for coming to auditorium for Edit Audio University. And since we are all going to start our sessions, so I would like everyone to sit in good positions and don't forget to call your friends. Perhaps there's still someone who haven't come to this place yet. So it is okay to contact them and ask them to come to this very special sessions. And please, for my fellow friend who probably wants to sit in the front row, it will be better because when you sit in the front, you will be more focused. So please just make the front seat full first.
Sekarang bapak-bapak milenial kayak gue bukan bingung mau makan apa, tapi bingung mau nonton apa sambil makan. Kalau film berat, otak gue udah capek dipakai mikir seharian. Kalau horor, gue nggak bisa tidur. Nonton apaan ya enaknya? Kasih rekomendasi film atau series yang enak ditonton sambil makan, yang seru dari awal, nggak terlalu berat buat mikir, tapi juga jangan yang terlalu kosong ceritanya. Nah, boleh juga nih rekomendasinya. Seriesnya 2 season, yang film juga 2 jam lebih. Buset, panjang amat ini. Gue cuma makan mie doang. Bentar, gue ngapa ribet banget begini ya? Orang makan tinggal makan. Lagian kenapa banyak orang sekarang lebih nyaman makan sambil nonton dibanding makan tanpa tontonan? Iya juga ya. Sekarang tontonan tuh kayak nemenin aja. Apalagi kalau rumah lagi sepi kayak begini. Ya udah, sekarang kasih tahu tontonan film, series atau YouTube yang relaxing, ringan dan nyaman buat nemenin makan setelah seharian kerja. Nah, ini baru pas. Akhirnya gue bisa makan juga. Ya?
Kayaknya udah bersih deh. Yakin bersih? Tuh, noda kuningnya masih ada. Coba pembersih porselen deh. Duh, menyengat banget. Baru, Harpic 10 times Advance kini lebih hebat. Lepas kerak dan noda kuning, bersih tuntas. Harpic.
join our special sessions. Okay then. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for everyone who have come to Auditorium Door 18 for today's special sessions. And we are very happy to have all of you here. Please give a round of applause for all of us. Okay, so as you guys see here, we have some special guests coming not from Indonesia but from other countries. That is very special. Thank you so much for coming to the university. How's your feeling today? Oh, amazing! And how are you guys feeling? Are you guys also excited? Yes, I want to hear your voice again. Are you guys excited? Yes, I love this experience, okay? So, before we begin our session, I think we're going to jump into morning routines first. So, in this university, we have some special activity, which is morning briefing, and the purpose of morning briefing is to make our energy aligned and also feel more happy and energized. Okay, so before we begin, I would like to call my friend, Amir, to come forward and lead our morning briefing for today. So, Amir, please come forward. Give a round of applause for Amir.
Alright, let's begin our session today. Today we are reciting dua together. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no one else around? Me and you and awkward silence. Don't you dare look at me that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. Oh, the burning pain. Listening to you heart pump out some new soulmate. She's so perfect, blah blah blah. Oh, how I wish you'll wake up one day. Run to me, confess your love. At least just let me say that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots a arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start.
Misi kami.
What's a girl to do? Lying on my bed, staring into the blue. Unrequited, terrifying love is driving me a bit insane. Have to get this off my chest. I'm telling you today that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Confess I loved you, just thinking of you.
5 nilai UAG-nya adalah saya.
I know I've
Migran
loved
Satria
you
165.
from the start.
Satu hati. Lisan perbuatanku. 6 prinsip. Allah tujuanku. malaikat mencatat perbuatanku, Nabi dan Rasul teladanku, Al-Quran pedomanku, hari kemudian cita-citaku, ikhlas dan tawakal sikapku. 5 langkah pengabdian kepada Allah syahadatku, sholat karakterku, puasa bentengku, zakat keluarkan potensiku, haji derap langkahku. Soalnya harus gede banget ya. Kalau kurang Satya lagi, Satya lagi, Satya lagi, Satya lagi, lagi, kita semua. Oke, jelas Bang. Hari ini saya pilih dan putuskan. Saya fokus, lebih fokus, sangat fokus. Hari ini saya pilih dan putuskan. Saya semangat, lebih semangat, sangat semangat. Hari ini saya pilih dan putuskan. Saya bahagia, lebih bahagia, sangat bahagia. Ini berlaporan.
Okay, and then you guys can come back to sit down. But before that, I would like to ask for the boys. Is it okay for you to move into that row, everyone? Okay, thank you so much, guys. Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, thank you so much for Amir who has brings more energy into the sessions. But before that, let us together pray Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hope these sessions will bring us new insight because we have a very special guest lecturer, and I hope you guys have focus into the materials because this is going to be very, very exciting. And then I would like to say that this session is very special, not only because we have a special guest lecturer, but also in this room we have 3 different majors, which is English for Industry, Communication, and also Management Business. Give applause for all of us here. Yes. So this is so amazing. We have a collaborations class, and I hope that this material will fit to all of you guys in here. And also, let's hear our opening remarks that are going to be conveyed by our beloved Kaprodi, which is Miss Dian. So to Miss Dian, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Semangat pagi. It's really nice to see you all guys here. Today we have a guest lecture, and then on behalf of English Literature Study Program, I welcome you, the students coming from 3 departments, namely English Literature, and also the Communication and Business Management. Also, our special guest, Victor Havel, Olivier. Did I pronounce that right? Olivier. Okay. What should I call you, by the way? Mario. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming, Mario. So today, as you know, that success depends not only on what we know, but actually how we build connection and networking. And then it's coming from the different cultures, not to mention that Indonesian coming from the different race, ethnicity, religion. And so that's why that what makes the communication really matters. So how we connect each other without the language barrier and everything. So somehow networking is the key to build the connection, to build involve to the important discussion just like business. And so the language itself to reach our idea and others. So that's why today's theme is intercultural communication really matters. So I hope this session will bring you the insight, and also you can get involved into the discussion, ask questions, and then also like probably if you want to have something questioning, just openly ask. That's what we are here for. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you so much. And then also, last but not least, this is actually coming from the course of Miss Junita, English for negotiation. So I welcome you also. Thank you so much for giving us the chance to have this guest lecture. That's all. Thank you so much. Have fun, guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Miss Dian, for amazing opening remarks for today's session. And thank you for Miss Junita for letting us have this very special guest lecture. Okay, guys, so before we begin our session, if you guys feeling like you may not understand the section, so you guys can stand over here for the Indonesian version of this lecture to help you guys throughout the material, because we don't want you guys to miss anything, because this is going to be very insightful. And before we begin our very special main event, I would like to introduce my friend here who will help us throughout the discussion. So here I have my friend who is also a student from English literature major, and he is also being part of some organization, especially DPN, YC, and many other things. And he's also used to be a moderator. So without any further ado, let us call our friend Muhammad Arkan Davi.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be one of the moderators in this campus. I really welcome you, Mr. Mario. Is it? Yeah, Mario. And welcome guys to the 12th, actually the 12th guest lecture that we have been conducted since the first semester, which is last year. And thank you so much for the lecturers
Sangkar madu
being able to guest because this is your class sustainable business negotiation. And a little bit of introduction for me. My name is Muhammad Arkan Davi, coordinator for the officially Mr. Mario. And today we will be having a presentation from Mr. A little bit of the CV from Mr. Mario. For Mario, he is part of the Sekolah Cita Buana as an English language arts instructor, Young Learners EFL, Professional EFL, and even, do you know some fun fact about him? He's also a songwriter. Yeah. Because, so you were having a Bachelor of Music as well. So if you want to learn how to create music, you may just call Mario here. Okay, that would be the final statement for me. And please, starting for our presentations, please welcome Mario Havel Olivieri.
Thank you so much. Does it look like me? I just to take a photo that I took myself. I said, because I have a cheap Oppo with a crack in it, and I wanted it to just make it HD. My wife, are you sure this looks like me? She said, yeah, just the hairstyle looks a little more tidy. your hair's a little longer there. I said, okay, I could just say it's a picture of me a year ago. But that is actually me. I'm not trying to AI myself. So I'm really, really excited to be here. I'm usually working with smaller children. I usually teach grade 3, grade 4, but I've taught every single level in the 14 years that I've been in education. I've been teaching pre-K all the way to university students and business professionals. And each level has taught me how to teach. One thing about teaching little kids is that they teach me how to live in the moment. They teach me how to keep things simple and fun. But sometimes I make the mistake of teaching adults the same way I would teach little kids. I forget to switch modes. But I would like to tell you some real life experiences that I've had to kind of let you know who I am and where I'm coming from. Because I'm a new guy here. You're probably wondering, who is this guy? What's he all about? So just like when you make a new friend, it helps to get to know them. So I have a degree in music. Most of my background's in music. I'm on Spotify. I write acoustic songs, mostly lagu sakit hati. But later on I'll share that. I'm going to share a few QR codes with you guys. This is a QR to my LinkedIn account. If you guys want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'd love to have more followers and connections. And I have a background in drama. I've studied pantomime. I used to work as a part-time as a pantomime at parties, corporate events, and that really taught me how to just put myself out there. If you ever want to overcome your fear of being in front of people, study drama, especially pantomime, because you have to physically get in front of people, and it forces you to face that fear. So my passion is traditional grammar. I grew up in the 80s. We had traditional grammar, we had sentence diagramming, and all that kind of began to fade away. Those really intellectual disciplines, it was more about having fun. Yes, we're supposed to have fun, but we also want tools. I don't want you to come to this lecture and walk away wondering, what did I just learn? And just forget about it. I've been to so many lectures where they spend more time just talking about all their certifications and bragging about all the things they've done, and then by the time they finish, the lecture's over. So I hope you don't feel that way today. I love technical writing. I think it has its own beauty, its own objectivity. There's no misunderstanding when you know how to write technically. So I've studied language in all of its different aspects: poetry, literature. I'm working on my first novel that I've been working on since 1994. So it's a passion, and I love structured literacy, which, as you know, it's the systematic way of teaching children to read. I've taught every kind of student: dyslexic, autistic. I have 3 sons. One of them has cerebral palsy. He was born with a neurological disorder. Married to an Indonesian, 20 years. So I understand the challenge of intercultural communication. We still have our fights because of cultural misunderstandings. So I come to you with raw life experiences. Can we go to the next slide? This is the QR code to download my ebook for free. Just a disclaimer, this is a very general, simple overview of what we're learning today. A few books will follow. You can get them through my LinkedIn later on. I'm working on a workbook with exercises to apply what we've learned today. And I'm going to be releasing more and more ebooks as we go on technical writing and, of course, what we covered today. So feel free to scan that, and the presentation will be available to the students later. Okay, so please save the presentation. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So today, it's going to start off very technical, and then we're going to end with a very simple mnemonic device. If you can spell ear, E-A-R, and then add the letter I, eerie, you covered this entire lecture. And you'll see what I mean later on. I like to start with a little teaser. So, we all know that just knowing English is not enough. You may know the words, you may be able to use Google Translate, but why do we keep running into misunderstandings? And when I first moved to this country, I had many difficulties because of cultural misunderstandings. Some examples. In this culture, it's common for someone on the street to say, "Hey, Mr. Malkamana, where are you going?" But when I first, in my culture, US culture, if a stranger on the street asks you, "Where are you going?" it's danger. It means they're trying to mug you. They're trying to maybe do something terrible to you. So I'd be walking down the street, and a guy would be sitting there going, "Mr. Malkamana." I'd be like, "None of your business." And it took me a long time to learn that this is just someone being friendly. And they would usually be shocked at my reaction. Like, "Oh, what's his problem?" Or we may know the meaning of a word. For example, the word pulang means to go home. But what about the context of pulang? What about tone of voice? There was one time I was walking home, and someone came up to me and said, "Oh, mister, where are you from?" And we started talking. And he asked me, "What am I doing?" And I said, "Pulang." But the tone of voice, and because I was trying to tell him, "I'm going home. I want to pulang." But he was shocked because the way it sounded was like I was telling him, I was commanding him to go home. So he goes, like that. So knowing the words is not enough. So today we're going to talk about 3 basic concepts. Okay? Let me cover this real quick before I get ahead of myself. Having a shared vocabulary masks completely divergent cultural paradigms, leading to silent deal breakers. What that means is knowing the vocabulary may work, but it can sometimes lead to deal breakers. You may not have that. You may not make that deal. You may not make a new friend because of misunderstanding. The hidden friction. Corporate failures are rarely caused by a lacking vocabulary. They are triggered by mismanaged relational contextualization. And that sounds like very intellectual stuff, but all that means is you mess up the conversation. Okay? So how does meaning and context work together? We need to make sure we understand the difference between context and meaning. Next slide. So we're gonna get a little bit into linguistics, not too far, just enough to be practical, because what I'm giving you today is probably something you've never seen in a normal English class. And I'm doing this because I know you guys are meant for better than what you've got. So, semantics. Who knows what semantics means? Who can explain that? Give me a chance to say something. All right, so semantics is the science, the discipline of studying meanings. Okay? This is a chair. This is a table. Nobody would argue with that, right? But sometimes literal meaning is not enough. We have something called semantic drift. So let's make sure we understand that semantics is just the literal meaning of meaning. And denotation is the different meanings that word can have. For example, if I say, look up, you might say, oh, he wants me to look up at the sky. But if I say, look it up on the internet, all of a sudden I'm using the same words, but now the meaning is different. Or if you look in a dictionary, sometimes words have 12 definitions, okay? When do we know which one to use? So this is where misunderstandings usually happen. I still get confused when I hear the word socialization. What do you think of when I say socialization? Can anyone answer? Getting together, anything else? Companies use it all the time, right? For orientation, for training. We're going to socialize this new program. But when I hear that, I just think socializing with friends, aren't you? Okay. If a British person says, "Hey, I'm going to the underground," I think, "Oh, he's going to some criminal activity because it's underground." I mean, I know it means subway, but someone who may not know the semantics would think, because in the US it's called a subway. So sometimes meanings can drift, okay? Or let's take the big word, contract. I didn't know this until maybe 7 years after living here that context is so much more important. I consider Indonesia a very high context country, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And although it says China and Brazil, high context would mean that the where you are, who you're with determines the meaning of the words. For example, in Japan, if an employee is about to be fired or terminated, they don't say, "You're in danger of termination." That's something they would do in the West maybe, but the boss might call you into his office and say, "Oh, how are your children? How's your wife?" The fact that you are in the office means you're in danger. Context. They don't say anything. The fact that you're in that room means you're in trouble. Okay? So that's what we mean by high context. The words have the same meaning, but the context changes everything. Another example about context. I was out at a AW. I was at an AW with an Indonesian teacher, and he was still single at the time. And he was looking at this beautiful girl sitting with her friends. I said, "Why don't you just go talk to her?" You know, in the US, you can easily just go up and say, "Hi, what's your name? Is it okay if I call you?" It's because it's public, it's safe. But he said, "Oh, no, you can't do that." Because the setting wasn't conducive to meeting new people. She was with her friends. It was a public place, high context. So many examples like that. And even in the US, we have the opposite problem. Sometimes there's too much low context. Okay, going on? And please help me manage my time because I can easily start going off on tangents and I want to make sure we get through everything today. I would like the first session to end by, what time is it now? 8:01, okay, great. So by 8:30, I would like to be done with this particular session. So, okay, now we're going to go on to the next concept we're going to cover today. There are 3, so just 2 more to go. The rest will be just branches of those 3 concepts. But again, it's all going to climax with EARI, you'll see. So pragmatics. Pragmatics is where context determines the meaning. So semantics is what does the word mean? Pragmatics is what do they mean by what they say, okay? So imagine a man comes home late at night, his wife is standing in the doorway, and she goes, "Where were you?" He says, "Oh, I was busy." And she says, "I bet you were." Nothing wrong with those words, right? I'll bet you were busy. Maybe she means, oh, maybe he was busy working, but late at night, maybe he smells like smoke or alcohol. Context. Saying the words are harmless, but the words themselves and the context together create an impression. Okay. And this is where a lot of misunderstandings happen in business deals. Okay. So what do we mean by maxim of manner? When I first saw this, I thought about that delivery service, Maxim. But literally, maxim, can anyone tell me what maxim means without looking it up? It's actually a beautiful word. It's like a philosophical saying or belief. It's a wise saying. So if I say, Beauty is temporary, love is eternal. That is a maxim. Okay? It's a wise saying. But a maxim of manner means how do you stay wise with your manners? So managing the balance between blunt directness and aiming for efficiency and contextual indirectness, aiming to protect face and respect. What that means is, especially in Eastern culture, you have to protect your reputation, your family's reputation. How much of that will control the deal? How much of that are you willing to protect just to save face? Okay. Maximum of quantity. All that means is it's just a fancy way to say how much context do you need to understand what someone's saying? How much context do you need? So you invite a potential client to meet you. Okay. Do you meet them at a bar or do you meet them at a Starbucks? Notice how it changes, right? If you meet them at a bar, it means you're informal, you're open to bending the rules a little bit, playing around with the regulations maybe. So what you say in that context will determine how the deal goes. But if you meet them in, say, a fancy restaurant, a high-end restaurant, now it's a bit more formal. It means you take it more seriously. And you bring people with you. It's not just you two together, right? So that's context. Okay, going on. So far we've talked about semantics and pragmatics. So let's have a quick review. Semantics, what does it mean? Pragmatics, what does the speaker mean by those words? Okay. Again, if you're at a party and someone says hi, not a big deal. But if you're on the train and some guy comes up to you and says hi, it's a little different, right? So that is pragmatics. Hi means okay, hi. You're there, I'm there, hi. Pragmatics means tone of voice. In British culture, you'll notice when a British person is angry, they don't say, "Hey, mate, what's wrong with you?" A normal British person, when they're angry, they're gonna get real quiet and they'll lower their voice and they'll say something nice like, "I like you." Ever seen that in the movies? Americans, we tend to be a little bit more outgoing about it. We're like, but I have lots of British friends, so I've tested this theory and they say it's right. So 90% will say it's true. Culture, pragmatics, context. And then, so semantics doesn't depend on context. It is what it is. A cat's a cat, a dog's a dog, a bird's a bird. A woman is a woman, a man is a man. Okay? An apple is an apple, an orange is an orange. It doesn't change. But when you take those words again in context, they change. Okay. All right, going on. And please don't think you have to photograph anything. All this will be available. You have the translation of the lecture. You have, and then I'm going to give you guys a QR code to a WhatsApp group that will be joining today for a simulation activity. Plus, you have everything that I'll be posting on LinkedIn. So just chill.
Chill out.
Hear the context. Relax. Now, I wouldn't say this at a board meeting, or I would say this because I'm with the younger generation. So that's pragmatics. And what does chill mean? To actually make something cool, right? So that's an example of pragmatics. So what does no mean in some cultures? No is no. But different cultures have different ways of saying no. And this can really make or break a business negotiation. So let's be clear about what indirect context means, direct context, and low context. So indirect context is pretty much most of what I found in Asia. People will indirectly state things. So if I say, can you have that report ready by next week? My friend over there might say, oh, that may be difficult to achieve. He's not saying no. Okay, but that's a polite way to say, he doesn't want to admit that he can't because it would affect his reputation. Okay. Or a company may say that may be difficult, Shane. We cannot finish rebuilding that road this week. It might be difficult to achieve. Maybe that means it's not going to happen. Okay, but they're not going to say it because it's saving face, saving reputation. And then direct context. In the Middle East, you'll find that a lot. They'll just tell you plainly, I completely disagree with the stance. But it's not to be rude, it's to challenge you, it's to stimulate you into a dialogue. It's to engage with you. Okay, so it's supposed to be, it's a sign of transparency. Now with low content, that's pretty much most of the West, the US, Germany. They say Germans are actually more rude and direct than Americans, but I've had a few German friends, I think it's pretty true. They say, we will evaluate this option. It means what it is. If they say, we will evaluate this option, it means they're going to actually evaluate the option. It's literal. So when it comes to a contract in a business setting, most of Western countries, when they look at a contract, they think it's sacred. You cannot break it. And if you do, there will be consequences. But in, at least what I'm told and what I found in my research, in a lot of Asian cultures, contract is more like a starting point of a relationship. The relationship is more important. And I think it's true because I worked in Indonesian institutions since 2013, and there were situations where my contract had to be reconsidered, not because I did anything wrong, because let's just say I got a new opportunity and I had to move on to a new job. Because they liked me, they were willing to bend the rules about like the fees that I would owe for breaking the contract, that kind of thing. Because we had a good rapport, we had a good relationship. They put that before the contract. And I think it's beautiful because sometimes the human dimension is more important. Okay, so far we've covered two concepts, semantics and pragmatics. Semantics is meaning. Pragmatics is what do we do with that meaning? What is the situation? Okay. All right, going on. Let's watch a brief video about what we've talked about so far.
In high context culture, yes may mean yes, yes may mean no, and yes may mean maybe, depending on how the yes is messaged. So it's not just the words, it's actually the facial expression, the tonality of the voice, and the body language. Whereas in low context cultures, yes means yes and no means no. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. Direct. Think of some of the issues that comes up. I loved Dave Ulrich's definition of listening. Listening is not about, have you heard me, but have you understood what I meant? I love that definition. I thought, well, that's really good. And here's the issue. If you come primarily from a low context culture, even when someone says no, and they say no without using the word no, you don't actually hear it. You don't hear it. So then the issue becomes, why didn't they just say no? If they couldn't perform or couldn't get that done on time, why didn't they say no? Well, they probably did, but you just didn't hear it. As I was with a meeting with a client some time ago, we were with a Korean organization, and he came out of the presentation saying, I think that presentation went really well. I said, I don't think it went really well. So why not? Because they said they were really interested, they would give it good consideration. I said, no, that doesn't mean that they're going to think about it. Because when they kind of said that, they took the deep breath in. So it's just paying attention to the cues. So when we listen to people who come from high context cultures, they seem to be kind of beating around the bush. And we don't hear what they're saying. Whereas when we're coming from low context cultures, how it comes across to high context is, in fact, sometimes we come across as being very rude and very direct. They say, don't you have any heart? Can't you say it in a different way? So once again, different styles of communication. And think about that here. And once again, the thing to remember is that culture is very subjective. In Australia, we consider ourselves to be quite open and quite straight. We take pride in the fact that we call it as it is. I had a client recently who said to me, Tom, I thought we were direct. I had a project manager who came from the United States, and at our first meeting, she had my whole team in tears. She said, I now know what direct is. Because compared to her, we were really soft. However, compared to the Indonesians, we are direct, they're very indirect. So culture is always subjective. It's relative to your point of reference.
Sure. Okay. So I'd like to just review a few concepts with you before we go on. So far, we've talked about semantics and pragmatics. How do we apply all this? Does it mean we have to go out and read volumes and volumes of work? No. There's a very practical way to do all this starting today. Okay, so I'd like to go over 2 cues. And all this is in the lecture notes, by the way. And 2 R's. The first cue means quantity. Stands for quantity. And then the other one, of course, means quality. The first R stands for relevance. And the second R, actually, it should be M, sorry. I got ahead of myself. Manner. Okay. When communicating with other cultures, or anyone for that matter, if it's business, if it's academic, it's important that all your quantities be very clear. Okay, your numbers have to be very specific. Your units of measurement have to be very specific. We're going to get into this more deeply in a moment. And then quality would be where is the make sure it's true. Okay, just good old-fashioned honesty, concrete truth. Make sure your quantity is there, the quality, meaning the content is objective, is concrete, no one can deny it. This is a stage, this is I guess it's a whiteboard, it's a glass whiteboard. This is glass. This is a human, I think. And then manner, to be brief, concise, okay, in business. Save the conversation, save the informal conversation for another context. This is common sense, but sometimes we forget this, especially if we are in the flow of the conversation. This also does wonders. It works wonders at job interviews. Because if you can look someone in the eye across the table from you and just give them good quantity, good quality, good relevance, and clear manners, you're hireable because they see someone they can invest in. Okay? So relevance, make sure it's practical. I think skip that, see? Practical. Make sure that it's related, relevant, related to the topic. So if you're trying to close a deal with someone, make sure you stay on topic. Sometimes people will accidentally drift off, and it depends on the culture, but it may give the impression that you're covering something up. Because if you have, it's like the old saying goes, the product should sell itself. What you have to offer should sell itself. You are the products. You don't need to prove anything. If you've done the work, if you're honest, hardworking, and you are that product. So all of you are here at the university because you want to be good quantity, good quality, good relevance, good manner. One complete, educated student and young person who can help continue to build Indonesia or maybe go abroad. Okay? So quantity, quality, relevance, and manner. Later on, all of this seems big, seems like a lot of information, but what we're doing is we're tapering down to a very simple concept that you will be able to start using today. Okay? One of the great things about being a primary teacher is I like to break things down. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay, here's a case study. Western developer negotiated an expedited production line with a Southeast Asian manufacturer. He observed the fatal workflow timeline law. The manufacturer's lead representative softly remarked, "Yes, we will certainly look into your target dates." So to the average Westerner, if someone says, "We will look into the target dates," the deadline's on fire, in his mind he's thinking, okay, the job will be done. Case closed. But for someone from another culture, it may mean, oh, we're in trouble. But we're not going to say we're in trouble. We have a challenge. We don't want to admit that we are struggling. Instead of asking for help. Okay? So, and I think I've encountered this in my experience working in different institutions in Asia, where they will use soft language like this to say, to indicate something more severe. And again, this is very general. We are all individuals here, so I'm not stereotyping at all. The breakdown, well, the Western team relied on pure semantics. He looked at this as, we will look into your target. So the Western mind will think, we'll look, target dates. That's how they think. That's how I would think. And what was meant was, I don't know if we can do this. And then the deal was broken. So to avoid public embarrassment, we need to speak, we need to go past our own culture. Western people need to go past their culture. Asian people need to go past beyond their culture and focus on the universal. The universal. There is a universal that we're going to look at today. Next, please. Okay. Most of us English students, we've encountered modals. Modal auxiliaries: can, might, should. And they're called modals. Most of my students struggle with these. This is where a lot of the grammatical errors happen. Can, could, should, shall. So in business, we want to avoid these because they can easily lead to misunderstanding. This is great in poetry. It's great in conversation. It's wonderful in literature, in movies maybe. But when a deal depends on what you say, these words can break it. They can destroy your deal. So can means in the English, for the average Western, can means visa. It's going to happen. Okay, but for some other cultures, it might mean it's possible. It's possible, but things can still go wrong. Okay, and then might in the Middle East, it's frequently used as a relational alignment to signal respect for the partner's wish, meaning it might happen, meaning we don't want to hurt your feelings. We don't want to upset you. So we'll say might, even though down here we're saying no. Okay. Again, it's about pragmatics versus semantics. Pragmatics and semantics. So I don't know if you can see this. I made this a little bit too small. This is the basic formula. If you want an agreement, make sure that your context matches the semantics. Before you meet that client, go over your ideas, go over your notes, do your research. With AI, it's really helpful now. AI is pretty smart now. They can break things down for you. So how would this proposal seem to someone from Sweden, coming from an Indonesian? This is how I wrote it, translate it to Swedish. How does it look in Sweden? Break it down to pragmatics and semantics, and you'll get the feedback that you need before you meet this client and strike a deal. Okay. So this is where a lot of problems usually happen. Most people just focus on the semantics. Oh, Google Translate says this, so I'm going to say this. But they don't get into the pragmatics, and then misunderstandings occur. All right, next. Now, the moment we've been waiting for. This is where we get to use what we've learned. Okay. My personal philosophy is that when I teach, I want to make sure that I leave you with a toolbox. There's an old Chinese saying, you can teach a man to fish, or you can give him a fishing pole. I mean, you can fish for a man to keep him fed, right? Or I can give you a fishing pole and teach you how to fish and clean that fish. Today, we're going to learn how to clean the fish and catch the fish ourselves. Okay. And it's going to be very easy. I think it has made a lot of difference in my own communication, especially in group chats. Maybe you've all experienced the embarrassment or the anger resulting from a misunderstanding in a group chat. Because with text, you don't, even with emojis, sometimes you can feel the tension. You can feel when someone's being dishonest. Okay, that's because of our human nature. Next. Okay. Try not to get lost in all the language. Just think of this as a universal code, the culture-free code. The semantic model, anyone here into information technology or computers? I got more into it. As a musician, I began to discover audio coding for creating music. So I learned a little bit about how computers think. And so this is an AI term. It's a data science term, a semantic model. We know that semantic means meaning, and model, of course, means example or code. In other words, it's something that cannot change. Right? If you build a car, you need a model. If you're an engineer, you need a model of the building you're designing. Okay, anyone here in engineering would know that, right? You need a drawing, you need a blueprint. You have to have a standard, an international standard. So there is an international standard for communication. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to go on our phones and look something up. We would not understand what we're reading. All of this is done for us through all the people working at Google and OpenAI. So can you click the down arrow? There should be a box right here. Can you click on slide? Yeah. So focus on the next one. Click again, please. Yeah. These are two phrases you want to focus on right now. We know that meaning is semantics. We know that pragmatics is how we apply those meanings in the situation. Well, a shared cognitive blueprint. That would be a great name for a sci-fi movie, right? A shared cognitive blueprint. And all this means is Do we all have the same understanding of that word? Okay. That is a projector. Am I wrong? Okay. We know it's a projector. It looks like a projector. It does what a projector does. No problem. No one's offended. The projector is not working. I didn't say, oh, the projector's broken because the guy who was supposed to maintain it didn't do his job. Big difference, right? Focus on the quality and quantity. We have a situation. The power is out. There is a power outage. It isn't because someone didn't pay the light bill. Maybe something else happened. So focusing on the objective. And then cross-functional departments. This is something we don't talk about enough. I want to really talk about this right now because this is what will save an organization. I don't care if it's a school. I don't care if it's a family. Cross-functional departments. That means this truth, this projector is a projector, and everyone in the room agrees with it. Doesn't matter where they're from, doesn't matter what language they speak, what culture they're from. So if an organization full of people from all around the world, Arabs, Frenchmen, Englishmen, Italians, they will see that information and say, we can work together and solve this problem. No one misunderstands, no gossip needed, no problem. Okay, cross-functional. In other words, what if I say vehicle and we're a corporation? Someone in engineering may think design, model. Someone in sales may think, if we sell this model, we can make this much this year. Someone in logistics may think, we were supposed to ship 30 units to this particular client. But it's the same word. So this is where a lot of problems happen in international business. Going on? Let's watch a short video on this concept for the visual among us.
Do you remember Ray? When Ray collaborates with colleagues, it can be a tedious task requiring many meetings and back and forths. That's because Ray and her colleagues usually have different knowledge, perspectives, and context on the same topic, and often use different terminology to refer to the same things. This is what we call the semantic gap. In our intro video, we learned that knowledge graphs can help address and bridge the semantic gap because they are built on semantic models, which help structure and capture the meaning of data in a human understandable format, while at the same time teaching machines what to make out of all that information. Semantic models capture the meaning and relevant context and relationships for concepts relevant to an organization's business domain. So let's have another look at our example for vehicle. A vehicle can have certain attributes like an identification number or a color, as well as relations to other concepts relevant to the business, such as machine parts, suppliers, or customers. This logical structure comes naturally and is evident to a human like Ray, but not to a machine. Also, where some users might hold valuable expertise on vehicles in the context of suppliers, others might carry insight in the context of customers. A semantic model, also referred to as an ontology, helps create a formal representation of these mental models of different stakeholders by defining the types of entities that exist in a specific business domain and the properties and relationships that can be used to describe them. Semantic models create a shared understanding of and clear semantics for the metadata available for domain-relevant concepts and help to bridge the semantic gap between different users, different business units, and especially business and IT. Simply put, metadata is data that describes other data and can include anything from the types of properties or relations we looked at before, or governance information on who owns or is responsible for a certain data set. For some properties or relations, like the color of a vehicle, Ray's organization uses a predefined collection of terms ordered by hierarchy that supplement the ontology with relevant terminology. This is what we call a vocabulary. Using a standardized vocabulary is helpful when defining the colors of vehicles, such as avoiding that some users use orange while others use peach or salmon to refer to the same thing. But wait, are those even colors? In this case, they are, and since they are clearly labeled as such in the ontology, both a human and a machine will